Welcome to the Double R Show, the podcast that features everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, directed and produced by Paul Robertson and hosted by the voice of Lincoln City, Roger Robertson.
Peace, joy is there. Pastor Mike Rogan is with me on this podcast, and we want to be talking about the reason for the season, but peace and joy. Is there peace and joy in this season this year, Mike?
Yeah, I think you can find peace and joy in every season of life. And it is certainly, speaking as a pastor of the Congregational Church here in town, we have traditional Advent themes for the Sundays leading up to Christmas, and two of those are peace and joy. We just recently had a concert at the church, and the theme of the concert was All Is Well.
Is it?
And I was saying to folks, you know, you look at the world we're in right now, and you look at war around the world and unrest here in our country and even in our own community, pain and suffering. And I think we can still find a sense that there is a sense of wellness and peace in the world, and it begins internally. But I think in this season of Christmas, when you're thinking about others, I think we find that joy, that peace in what we do in connecting ourselves with the community, family, church, friends, all the ways that people help out. You know, at this concert, we had free admission, but we had donations of food for the pantry. And we just had, the table was just overflowing. We had to have it on the floor and around it. And I was overwhelmed by how much food people brought to help people.
What brings you the most joy?
I think probably my connection to the people here in the church and in the community. Again, at this concert, just seeing people who are sort of loosely connected to the church, or people that only come to the church for that concert, or we have a lot of people that show up for Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. And there is this sense of them feeling like their home is in our space, even if it's just once a year. And I think that gives me a sense of not only pride in our congregation, but also a sense of connection to the community beyond our church. You know, as a pastor, I do most of my relating to church people like you and Pat, and by extension, your family. But there's also a connection to people through various music events and through helping the homeless and shelter and food donations. And I think that's really, you find your joy in giving. It's such a cliche, but it's true that when you give of yourself, you're not only helping someone else, but in their receiving your gift, it's giving you joy.
You sound optimistic, if you will, as I look at what's happening around the world. You look at Israel, you look at Ukraine, but I hear a optimistic tone from you. Is that real?
Yeah. I've always been kind of an optimistic person, maybe because my parents were that way, but I always feel hopeful. I always feel like tomorrow is going to be a better day than today was, whatever, in my own personal life, but also just, I think there is, I was just talking with someone about this last year and the things I've gone through this last year personally with some injuries and things. And they were saying, I don't know, because I said, well, 2024 is going to be a better year. And they said, I don't know that it's going to be a better year, Mike. And I genuinely feel like it's going to be a better year. I do have hope that the world will be a better place. And I think if you don't have that hope of lasting peace and joy, then let's just all just call it quits. What is the point? If we don't have this sense that things will be better for us, for those we love, for future generations, not just in Lincoln City or in the United States, but around the world. I think I look at my granddaughter who's 12, and I think she's going to live in a better world, and she's going to make a better world than what I have lived in and what I've left
Are we
to her.
leaving our world better than we found it?
I think that's the question. I think each of us has to answer that. I know you know, but I preached a few weeks ago on peace, and I ended with that great song about let there be peace on earth. And
Let
I
it
kind of
begin with
jokingly
me.
said, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with the other guy. But it really is, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Because that's all each of us can do, is just be that peace, that joy, that hope in the world.
As you look at 24, what looms largest for Pastor Mike Grogan, for your church, for your beliefs?
I'm kind of a live in the moment person. So I don't think much about, well, my goal for 2024 is this, that. For one thing, I don't want to break my leg. I'm trying to do that. Trying to
stay away from that.
Trying to stay healthy as much as I can.
Or an eye.
Or mess up, my other eye. But it's been a challenge that way. But for me, I think just continuing to grow in my own personal life, in my own faith, but also just recognizing, I say frequently, this sounds like I'm only talking about the church, but that's where most of my life is. But I always say, because people say, what's going to happen to our church in the coming year? And I'm like, number one, I don't know, but I believe that this is not my church or your church or anybody's church. It's God's church. And if God has work for us to do in Lincoln City, we're going to be here to do it. And if God doesn't have work to do in Lincoln City, then we're just wasting our time. So try to plug in with what God is doing.
That kind of holds true for all churches, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah. And for all organizations, I believe God works through everybody and everything, whether they're cognizant of it or not.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Pastor Mike Grogan. We'll be back in just a moment.
One of country music's hottest duos, Low Cash. Live in concert, Saturday, January 20th, 8 p.m., Chinook Winds Casino Resort. Platinum selling Low Cash, live, on sale now at the Chinook Winds box office or at ChinookWinds.com. More info at lowcash.com. Chinook Winds, where concerts are better at the beach.
One night, one stage. Country music's hottest supergroup, The Frontmen, featuring Richie McDonald, formerly Lone Star. Baby, I'm amazed by Larry Stewart, lead singer of Restless Heart. Tim Rushlow, formerly of Little Texas. God bless Texas. Chinook Winds Casino Resort. On sale now at Chinook Winds box office or at ChinookWinds.com. At Chinook Winds, where concerts are better at the beach.
Wouldn't it be great to have all your insurance needs handled by one agency? This is Charlotte Lado with Farmers Insurance and the Insurance Store. Visit our office next to the Wildflower Grill in Lincoln City. Let us be your one stop for your personal, commercial, health, and Medicare insurance needs.
A number of people will talk about what they did or are doing. Some actually get out and do it. Some talk about peace. This gentleman actually does something to facilitate peace. Ren Jacob is with us. Veterans for Peace Golden Rule Project is what, Ren?
Well, that is a project that was started in about 2010, and the cause of that was the Golden Rule. This old peace boat from the 50s was found in Humboldt Bay, and so they decided first they got notified by the locals. So the Veterans for Peace started a committee to rebuild the boat, and it took about 5 years from 2010 to 2015, and then it was relaunched in 2015 to continue the mission of trying to educate and bring awareness of peace issues and nuclear weapons issues. And
You talk about a boat. This is a ex-Navy ship, or what was it?
well, it was a boat that was built originally in 1957 in Costa Rica, and it was commissioned by it was a Quaker mainly group that had started the project in the 50s. So that was 1957. They began searching for a boat that would be proper to go across the Pacific from California, Long Beach, to Hawaii, and then hopefully eventually to the nuclear testing zone, which was in the South Pacific.
And the name of the game was to get the boat into such a position that they wouldn't test nuclear weapons. Is that what you tell me?
Yeah, well, they were testing since 1948 till
Right.
1963. We tested 67 nuclear weapons above ground there in the Marshall Islands area. And so they had been, Quakers and different peace folks had been trying to get attention to the issue of blowing up these nuclear weapons and all the environmental after effects of that at the offices in D.C. and, the usual ways with pickets and signs and trying to get attention that way, writing letters to the editor and stuff. But it wasn't having the effect that they hoped. And then this was an idea that came together.
You've been on this boat, correct?
Yes, sir. About 5 times.
About 5 times. From where to where?
Well, the first time I got involved was after 2015. Like I said, the boat got relaunched from Humboldt Bay. So the first year they went down to San Diego, going along the way in various ports to talk to peace groups mostly, but whoever would show up. So then in 2016, I believe it was, they came up to Oregon. And so I had applied to be part of the crew and was accepted. And yes, they came up in June to Fleet Week in Portland. And then I was with them for only about a week there. And then they continued on to Seattle and around Puget Sound and then back the next year. So it was a year and a half or so that they were up in the Pacific Northwest.
What kind of response do you draw from the public as they question what you're doing and what the mission of this boat is?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. We really get a lot of positive response. I mean, when we were at Fleet Week, some of my leaders were handing out flyers there up on the, how Portland is. With
Sure,
the,
right, on the bayfront.
Yeah, they were handing out flyers. And, of course, there's 3 or 4 huge Navy ships sitting there at the dock, and a lot of the soldiers and sailors were there wandering around enjoying Fleet Week, and so they would often be the ones taking the flyers and asking questions or taking an interest in what we were doing.
What's next for the vessel, and what's the name of the ship?
Well, it's just called the Golden Rule, and
Okay.
that is kind of an ostentatious name, I think, but that's a name that they gave it in 1958 when they originally sailed the boat or attempted to sail the boat into the nuclear testing zone. That's the source of the name.
Okay. So your next trip out with the ship and the crew is when? Or are you done for a period of time?
Well, the boat just finished the Great Loop Tour, they call it. Basically, you go down the Mississippi River system, come out into the Gulf of Mexico, go around Florida, and you can come into the Hudson River or the St. Lawrence River, then through the Great Lakes back to Chicago and Illinois River. And a lot of people think it's very important to cross your own wake, they call it, from wherever you started to complete the Great Loop of the eastern United States. So that was what the Golden Rule was doing starting in September of 2022.
If somebody wants more information about this entire project, where do I go?
Yeah, we have a website. It's called VFP, which stands for Veterans for Peace. So it's vfpgoldenrule.org, and that'll take you to our website. And other than that, we haven't done as much social media stuff as... Actually, they have a Facebook page as well. But I think our social media exposure could use some improvement.
And again, your next venture out would be when?
Well, I don't know if there is a plan for more. I mean, they had in 2022, before we trucked the boat over to Minnesota to begin the Great Loop Tour, we had taken a trip. I was involved in this trip in January of 2022. the boat is home ported in Humboldt Bay, so Eureka. So we went and took it down south along the California coast, and as far as Ensenada, Mexico. And one of the big get-togethers there was in San Diego. They wanted to commemorate the second anniversary of the TPNW, which is the Treaty Prevention of Nuclear or it's the treaty to get rid of nuclear weapons.
Okay.
I can't remember the acronym.
Veterans for Peace Golden Rule Project. It's underway. It's here in Lincoln City. Ren Jacob is a spokesperson for the Veterans for Peace Golden Rule Project. More in a moment.
Are you ready to embark on a journey of lifelong learning? Look no further than Oregon Coast Community College. Discover endless opportunities through our community education program. From art classes to cooking workshops, there's something for everyone. But that's not all. If you're age 60 or better, you can enjoy the Senior Waiver Program. Take credit courses without paying a dime in tuition. Yep, you heard right. No tuition charges, though course and college fees do apply. Visit our website at oregoncoast.edu and don't miss out on an ocean of opportunity.
Northwest Septic Service is your one-stop shop for all your septic needs.
Northwest Septic Service offers pumping, maintenance, repair, and inspections with one call, 541-994-6977.
Buying or selling a home? Northwest Septic Service can inspect your sewer line or an entire septic system.
Old or failing septic system? Northwest Septic Service can rejuvenate most drain fields, saving you thousands of dollars. 541-994-6977.
Serving Lincoln, Tillamook, and Yamhill counties, Northwest Septic Service. If you're looking for great early garden fresh produce, it's Kenny's IGA in the Bay Area of Lincoln City. 4 generations of Morgans caring for your every grocery need. All of your favorite beverages, a full deli, meat, produce, and of course, groceries.
I'm Adina Zeller. Zellers is now in 2 North Lincoln County locations. The original Zellers in Rose Lodge and now Zellers in Lincoln City, formerly Maxwell's. Zellers with great family food and kickin' fun like our line dancing. Just wait until you try our homemade clam chowder.
In World War I, the ratio of deaths combatants to civilians was 9-1. In World War II, the ratio became 1-1. In today's wars, the ratio is 1-9. Today, far more children die in war than the combatants. With me is Reverend Charles Bush, and you have been at the forefront of peace.
It's been a calling for me, yeah.
And this is just not a nuance for you. This has been your life.
It has. So much of my church ministry through those wonderful years in Lincoln City, the whole community, started something called Peace Village, which was training young people 6 to 13 in how to handle bullying, how to handle conflicts in nonviolent ways. But that calling to do peace work grew, and when I retired from parish ministry, I started again with others, Fields of Peace, to teach adults about nonviolence, which was certainly Jesus' message. Love your enemies. Tough to live, but it is the key to peace. And we taught nonviolence until we ran across the very numbers that you quoted. And as soon as we learned that in modern warfare, for every 1 combatant killed, 9 civilians are killed, and the majority of those civilians are children, that changed our program, and we made our mission to stop the killing of children in war. And there were times when people would find those numbers not only unwelcome news, but not quite believable. And so we would go through and talk about the 3 decades of research and publicity about that and studies. But now, unfortunately, the last year and certainly the last few months, we don't have to talk about the numbers anymore and verify them. If you can read the headlines, Ukraine and Gaza, you know the numbers are real.
Every night in your home.
Every night.
It comes home every night. Are we winning? Or is there a way to win this ridiculous battle of massacre of children?
There are many ways to go about it, Roger, and it always starts in the hardest place of all, and that's with you and with me. That's the starting place for peace. I start it with prayer, but the harder part is personal honesty. The hard work is looking at, and I mean daily, not just once, at how we live and how we think. For instance, if I want to be a peacemaker, but I find myself reading about and choosing sides in an ongoing war between peoples, I realize that I've already lost the peace because I have subjugated one side to a little less humanity than the other, and maybe nominated them for some cruelty. So that honesty is important. And the second kind of honesty has to do with our citizenship in the United States. We are complicit in whatever our country does. And right now, our country, and for many years, has been the gun store for the world. We supply all the wars in the world, or so many of them. And again, we're doing it in the Ukraine, and we're doing it in the Middle East. So that's the kind of honesty we need to deal with.
Do you feel it's being done with the best of intentions, or how do you
Not at
deal
all.
with that?
I find it difficult driving to the grocery store, sitting down to pray, having coffee with friends. I find it very difficult to think about anything but Gaza right now. We have 2 million people who are walled in, who cannot escape, and they are being bombed. Schools, hospitals, refugee camps, the whole thing. Yeah. And the justification, of course, is an attack. That justification overlooks, and the attack was horrible and it was violent. It overlooks the long history of decade after decade of oppression, of the long grievances and narratives on both sides. My personal view is this is a genocide that's happening in our time, in this moment. And the excuse that this is to rid Gaza of Hamas seems very strange to me. I think this will recruit more in the long run for Hamas than any that they destroy. It is really a wholesale bombing of a people, one people getting rid of another, slaughtering another. So that's where I think we have to ask ourselves, when we ask ourselves, what would I have done in the time of slavery? What would I have done in Germany during the Holocaust? What would I have done during the Civil Rights Movement? I can ask that question, actually, because I was not on the forefront of the Civil Rights Movement. I was in college, but I did not head to the South. Sure, I missed it. But now I look at this and I say, what am I doing around Gaza and the Palestinian people? This is the moment.
This is Christmas. This is joy and peace.
Yes.
How do you put the two together?
Whenever I stand up to talk about peace, the reality is that first comes the bad news. This is hard work. We have thoughts. We have prejudices. We are part of a military empire. We have so much to deal with. The hope comes for me in seeing that we can all change. And I look at Gandhi's work, the difference he made, King's work, the difference he made, Peace Pilgrim, Dorothy Day, women. And I see that not only can we change personally, but we can move. We can have movements and move governments.
I will not be part of killing of any child, no matter how lofty the reason. Not my neighbor's child, not my enemy's child, not by bomb, not by bullet, not by looking the other way. I will be the power that is peace. Fields of peace.
Fields of peace. That promise has been at the forefront. It is when we talk to people about peace today and the fact that modern warfare is the killing of children, we provide these 48 words. It's a simple way for anybody to start today. And those words will work in you, and they'll also go out and be prophetic. So it's a start.
Reverend Charles Bush. More in a moment.
Thank you.
We at La Roca are proud of our food. but don't take our word for it. Read the reviews. One person wrote, "The service was friendly and efficient." Another writes, "La Roca has become one of our favorites because it's authentic Mexican food."
When looking for the bestsellers of today and yesterday, look no further than Bob's Beach Books. Hi, I'm Diana Portwood, and on behalf of my sister Emily at Robert's Bookshop, we thank our dad, Bob, for the vision he had in establishing our 2 family-owned bookstores in Lincoln City.
Well, greetings. This is Marnie Whipple with Holland America Line, and we are delighted and honored to be a longtime partner with Roger and the team at Always Traveling. We have some exciting news to share with you today, and that is that in Dawson City in the Yukon Territory, the First Nations group of the Tronjekowichan have now been awarded the wonderful recognition of being a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The aim with this in the Yukon Territory is to really share the story of the Indigenous people, the colonialism, and truly the history of the Klondike Gold Rush. So join us and Roger and the team on a beautiful Holland America Line cruise tour through Alaska, Southeast Alaska by cruise, continue on up into Denali National Park and Fairbanks, and then add on even more wonderful adventure, now flying from Fairbanks to Dawson City on an exclusive land tour, heading into Dawson and now this wonderful UNESCO World Heritage Site, and continue on from Dawson into the heart also of the Klondike, Whitehorse, take a wonderful ride into Skagway, Alaska, and continue from Skagway down into Vancouver. It's an incredible journey.
Lots of activities still upcoming in and around the greater Lincoln City area with the Christmas season here. Paul, I know you had an opportunity to drive down to Depot Bay to see the lights.
Yeah.
Depot Bay, really quite spectacular.
Depot Bay lights, and you can actually control them with your smartphone to put your favorite tune in there of their selections, and they have that fundraiser for Neighbors for Kids too. So,
also taking place in Depot Bay, we got Whale Watch Week. We've had an opportunity to talk about this a number of times, but there are places up and down the Oregon coast, but a lot of them right here in Lincoln County, where you can go and receive information about the whales and the migration.
yeah, Boiler Bay is going to be where our one volunteer that we had last week on, and starting on Wednesday the 27th through the 31st.
Yep, the Whale Watch Week. Don't miss an opportunity to get information about these majestic animals, and they really are fully majestic. Also like to draw your attention to the fact that the Lincoln City Hope Center, the Resource Recovery Reentry Program, is now up and running here in Lincoln City. Also, we were talking about Christmas and the lights in Depot Bay. We've got a lot of lights here in Lincoln City as well, including the Sea of D lights, and go down to Southwest 51st Street, the dock of the bay, look at all of the beautiful lights on the dock, and of course then go to the regatta grounds, and you'll see Santa, busy Santa down at the regatta grounds.
Yeah, it's pretty fun stuff down there.
Jet skiing Santa. Veterans, you have a free homemade soup and sandwich luncheon awaiting you twice a month, the second and fourth Wednesdays, 12 to 2. This is at the Lincoln City Elks Lodge up there beside Bi-Mart. And let's see anything else that we need to cover before we move along and wish everybody a happy, merry Christmas.
Well, yeah, no, I think that covers it. Of course, we got some stuff coming up for New Year's Day, but we can save that for another couple days with the splashdown in the tap area. That's a genie spin.
Are you going to jump in the water again?
Of course.
Of course you are. That was a silly question. So that'll do it to the Dunes on the Double R Show. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, so you, your family, and friends around the world and across the street can join us right here in the Double R Show. For Paul and Jenna, I am Double R. Have yourself a very Merry Christmas.
You've been listening to The Double R Show. Join Roger and Paul Robertson as they explore everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, produced by Always Productions and hosted by Roger Robertson. Have a story? Email contact@alwaysproductions.com or call 458-201-3039. For The Double R Show, I'm Jana Grawn.